Warm greetings from Creative Hub Tallinn, Estonia. This is a webinar organized by Education Nation, which is an Estonian initiative to share our educational knowledge and experience with the world. Estonia has the top education results, #1 in PISA in Europe, and is known for its e-services. We aim to share that experience with the world. Every Thursday, we host a free online webinar to offer support for all of those affected by the current COVID-19 coronavirus crisis and, as a result, switching to online education. In today's webinar, the focus is on how and why to start your education startup in Estonia. Additionally, we introduce the international possibilities of e-residency and the Startup Visa project in education and share two experiences. For more information, go to Facebook and find our page, Education Nation, and group named Remote Learning Education Nation. In addition to our 4 speakers today, we encourage you participation as well. In order to ask your question, please just comment on the live stream, either on the Education Nation YouTube channel or Facebook Live. Now let's meet our today's speakers. We have a total of 4 joining us live today. Dagmar Vlasov, Deputy Director of e-Residency. Hello, Dagmar.
Hello.
Merilin Lukk, Startup Visa Project Lead. Hello, Merilin.
Hi.
And Kopal Maheshwari, founder of Little Einstein Preschools, LE Lab Solutions, Sibylla International Schools. Hello.
Hi.
And Mohamed Boya Malanin, founder of ISAChamp. Hello, Mohamed.
Hola.
Each speaker will have time for their own presentation, after which we will have our Q&A session. For more information, go to Facebook and find our page Education Nation and a group named Remote Learning Education Nation, or send us an email to hello@educationnation.ee. Now, let's move to today's webinar topic, e-residency opportunities for Education Nation. Dagmar Vlasov, the Deputy Director of the e-residency program that gives you a gateway to location-independent EU business environment. Dagmar, how has the current crisis affected the number of e-residence applications?
Hello again. Of course, we have noted some drop of the number of applications because people have lots on their mind at this difficult situation, and also due to lockdowns or moving restrictions in different countries, people just can't pick up their e-residency card. But on the other hand, this isolation period is actually a very good time to think of becoming an entrepreneur, and this is exactly what e-residency is offering: remote and totally online way to manage your company.
We're looking forward to your presentation. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So, about the agenda today, I will briefly introduce you a bit e-residency, what it is, who are the e-residents, why one should become an e-resident, and how you should become an e-resident. So, starting, what it is. E-residency is a government issued and secured access to Estonian e-services. So it's government backed, it's secure, and as said, location independent. Also that I need to point out what e-residency is not. E-residency is not your travel document. It's not a visa. It's not an entry to Estonia or other EU countries. It does not gives you Estonian citizenship. It does not gives you full Estonian tax obligations. And it's not a physical residency. And also it's meant for those who do not own Estonian residency or citizenship. So what are the benefits of e-residency? As we see from our e-residents, the main reason is to become an entrepreneur, to manage, to create and to manage your company remotely, wherever you are in the world, and to do it fully online. Almost everything you can do with your company, you can do actually everything online, because this is something that Estonia gives you an access through this e-residency status, is to access Estonian governmental and also private sector services online. It's not only valuable for those who are doing business, but it's also very useful for those who want to digitally sign documents, because it's secure and very easy to manage. And it's often used to sign legal documents, because it has the state kind of like this temple that it's secure. So since the e-residency program started, it was 5 years ago, 2015, we have seen more than 70,000 applications all over the world. We have e-residents more than 160 countries, which means almost most of the world. We have seen that the fastest growing number of countries where e-residents come are Germany, UK, Finland, Russia, Ukraine, but also all the others, nearly 160 countries. And the main motivation, as I said, is to run the company. So majority of these people who decide to become an e-resident, they want to start their business that is location independent, that they don't have to spend time filling physical papers to get them to some authorities in their own countries. So this is something that is making the process much easier and way faster. And the result of this program, more than 11,000 companies have been created by e-residents. And also, I point out here that around 200 of them are education technology related companies. So, how to get started? How one can become an e-resident? For the application, you will need your own documents like a passport or your national ID. You need your photo. You need a short motivation statement, and you also need a Visa or MasterCard to pay the state fee to start the process. Applications for the e-residency are all submitted online. So whole process is totally done online. So if you apply, you don't have to go physically nowhere. You pay the state fee, you fill the application form, and then it will be managed by Estonian police and border board, who will look it and investigate. In general, it takes, let's say, a month or less to make this, to review your application. And it might be that during this process, the police representatives will contact you to ask more details or provide more information. So once the decision is made that you are eligible for the e-residency status, your e-residency card will be printed and it will be delivered to you. If you happen to be in Estonia, you can pick it up in Estonia, but if you are somewhere else in the world, you can pick it up from the foreign missions or Estonian embassies. So this is the point where one must go physically and prove that you are the person who you claim to be in the application. And it's the only physical point that you will have with the Estonian government and state receiving the card. And now having your e-residency card, it comes with a very nice box and with a ID card reader and a manual how to use it. You can activate the card and start using it. For example, start signing documents or start creating your own company. Because the time is short, I can't go into too many details, but here you can see the relevant addresses where you can apply for the e-residency status, also e-residency homepage. And what is I recommend to look into our Facebook communities, which are very active, and lots of questions, lots of answers are being there. So it's our community is one thing that we really are happy about, and we value that it's a happy and they are very similar-minded people. So the community is strong and it's growing fast. And also you can find here our support email if you have any questions or worries that we could help you. So e-residency team in Estonia is not big in one way. So here on this picture you can see our team, but on the other hand it's very big because very many Estonian state organizations are actually doing their best to create these e-residency cards, to make all the checks that necessary and support all the way from the start of the application until you run the company. So that's it from my side. So I thank you, and feel free to write your questions and comments if you happen to have them.
Thank you, Dagmar, so much. Dear viewers, if you have any questions for Dagmar or anyone that are speakers today, please head over to Education Nation YouTube channel or Facebook Live and post your question in the comments section there. Our next speaker is Merilin Lukk, Startup Visa Project Lead at Startup Estonia. She's helping the Estonian startup ecosystem gain worldwide talent by promoting the Estonian community and building one of the most successful startup visa programs in the world. Her biggest passion is to help people on their way to find their own potential and become successful. Merilin, can you tell us what makes Estonia so special in the startup visa scene? All right, Merilin will be back with us in a moment, but Kopal Maheswari, are you here?
Yes, hi.
Very nice, thank you, Kopal. If anyone has questions for our speakers, please head over and write them over there in the Q&A session, but we would like to continue. You are a founder of Little Einstein's Preschool, LE Lab Solutions and Sibylla International Schools in 2018. You also applied for startup visa and e-residency and moved to Estonia. Maheswari founded LE Lab Solutions OÜ with an intent to bring Nordic edtech learnings to other countries. Kopal was awarded as top 40 most influential Indians under 40 years and woman edupreneur of the year 2018. Was it easier to move to Estonia after you already had your e-residency and startup visa?
Well, I would say it was very smooth transition, and Estonia has some very warm people, very welcoming and supportive, so it was very easy. And I can actually share more about my journey through my presentation.
Please, go ahead.
Yeah. So, So Little Einsteins was started approximately 12 years ago when the concept of preschool education wasn't very popular in India. And our pedagogy, based on Dr. Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence theory, resonated very well with parents, teachers, and students, since it ensured that each child is unique and developed as creative, critical, and divergent thinker. Our unique pedagogy led us to expand to 7 nations with more than 75 centers in the world. And it was in December 2016 that Estonia's PISA results for the year 2015 were announced. and the results were astonishing. In 2015 PISA results, Estonian students stood first in Europe in science and collaborative skills and had some good scores in other subjects too. So thereby it made it to the list of highest performing OECD countries in the world. And Estonia also had some amazing features like the digital nation that it is. It meant ease of business and quick non-bureaucratic processes and access to the developed Europe market. And that's when we decided that since we had this pressure from our students and parents demanding that we provide K-12 education, we decided to explore opportunities at Estonia to launch Sybil International Schools in a big way to bring best of European education to the world. It took me just 15 days to get the approval for startup visa and just a day to form the company. So the process was very quick and the transition, like I said, was very smooth when we shifted our residence from India to Estonia. And after a year of research and development, Sybil Educations was formed. And with the COVID pandemic situation coming into picture, we quickly launched the support for all our teachers and students as Einstein Square. So Einstein Square is a remote learning place for a niche segment of kindergarten to grade 5 children. And this is the age group which needs maximum support. So we have some really cool features like digital workbooks, whiteboards, and standardized lesson plans and resources to ensure that the teachers spend time in doing what they do best, which is teaching. And I would like to really highlight here that we have a small class size of just 3 students, thereby ensuring personalized learning. And our portals use adaptive technology. So it's basically a win-win situation for parents and teachers. And I'm going to quickly show you a quick video of how real-time digital workbook usage helps our students and kept them engaged during the time when the school was running. So we had a lot of features like there was sound enabled, interactive, and adaptive technology. In the end, I would just like to quote our president and mention that Estonia is the country where the government and people work together on new technologies to provide better services than money would allow. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, Marilyn, are you back in line?
Seems so.
Very nice to have you back. So we already gave an introduction to you. It's great to have you with us. Tell us, what makes Estonia so special in the startup visa scene?
I would like to start off by saying that it is in no way a unique thing that a country is doing, but somehow it is in Estonia. It is probably most successful in the world. I will show you some of the numbers as well, but I think the main thing about why it's so successful and why so many people and companies around the world are so interested in it is because our community that we have here, and also the community helps validate the startups or the companies who get the ability to use the Estonian startup visa.
The floor is yours. We're looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you so much. And I'm glad that the technology is working again, but unfortunately this seems to be our new reality where we have to kind of anticipate those technological issues. But it's really good that Kopal was mentioning the startup visa, so it's a good way of illustrating actually what the startup visa means to an entrepreneur. My name is Marilyn. As said, I'm the Startup Visa project lead, and I have been working on the project since February 2018. Before I start with, or before I go into the details of the Startup Visa, I actually want you to know or understand what Startup Estonia actually is. We are not a startup. We are not a separate company. We are a governmental program aimed to supercharge the Estonian startup ecosystem And our aim is to create international success stories. Our main goal is, or was in the beginning of this program, that Estonia has 1,000 startups. And how we get there is that we support the ecosystem organizations. We see that funding is accessible for startup. We don't give out money ourselves, but we support companies and funds and investors in their knowledge and also with money so that they can give support to the startups wherever they see fit. And the biggest thing that we do, since we are under the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Communications, we help see that the legislative environment is supportive for not only even startups, but also to all entrepreneurs. Of course, we see that the startups would benefit also from the incentives and legislation. And one of the legislative processes and things that we have managed to bring to life is the Estonian Startup Visa. It was launched after less than 1 year of talks between the startup ecosystem and the government in 2017 in January. So 3.5 years ago, roughly. Within that time, I'm sorry, my clicker got lost. I will find it. There you go. Yes, so I think Opal also mentioned a little bit about the process of how to get a startup. So if you are an Estonian startup wanting to get employees from outside of EU, or you are, for example, an Indian startup who wants to bring their founders and employees to Estonia, you have to be validated by the startup committee. That is a committee of 7 organizations from the Estonian startup ecosystem, that you are a startup. And you can see on the slide the last sentence. This is from the Estonian law that regulates which companies are actually startups. If you are a company that is based on technology, innovative, and most importantly, you have a repeatable and scalable business model with a fast global growth potential, then you are eligible as an Estonian company or as a foreign company to use the startup visa. If you have the startup status, you can go to an embassy, an Estonian embassy, or come to Estonia and go to the Estonian Police and Border Guard Board to apply for the startup visa, the D visa, or you can, after you have registered a company in Estonia, you can go and apply for a 5-year residence permit. It is very detailed, and I don't even think that you need to memorize everything. I will give you the links later where you can find all the information. However, I want to show you a little bit about the numbers because Startup Estonia's one of the main goals that we have is to gather data about the Estonian startup sector. You can find a lot of it in our blog. We put out biannual data sets of the whole startup ecosystem, and I also put out data sets about the startup visa. But altogether, over 2,300 individual people have benefited from the Estonian startup visa and have granted the right or already relocated to Estonia. So you can see that the top countries for founders are Russia, Iran, Turkey, and India. And top countries for employees are Brazil, India, Russia, and Ukraine. However, we have seen that for the startup status, companies from 99 countries have applied. So for us, it's a very humbling fact that a small Estonia is recognized with the startup visa by more than half of the countries in the world. Went too fast. Yes. And as I said, we gather data mainly because we want to show how beneficial it is for a government to support the startup ecosystem. next to other entrepreneurs as well, obviously. As I said in the beginning, we intended to have 1,000 startups, but now from the beginning of the year, we have a brand new startup database with 1,022 startups, out of which 200 are startup visa founded. If we look at the education technology startups, we have 40 startups, and 7 of them are with the startup visa founders. However, more than 7 or more companies, meaning that Estonian companies as well, that are in the educational technology sector, employ people with the help of the startup visa. So yes, it has helped the education technology sector. Out of the startup founders, you can see that 18% are foreigners and only 15% are women. We completely agree that it's a very small number, and we do try to raise those figures. Also, what is very important is that startups create jobs, and usually they create jobs quite quickly. And we have seen that the employment taxes, the number compared to last year's first quarter, meaning from January to the end of March, the employment taxes are 47% bigger than last year. So we can roughly say that the whole startup sector, with the jobs and the startups and the employment taxes, raises or increases 30% to 50% even yearly. But 30% is the certain amount. And we have our startups have raised over 1.3 billion in the last 12 years. So what does it give you? The main thing is that it's an access to the country, physical access to the country. And also with it comes the access to important startup founders who can give you advice or investment, also venture capital, which we have a lot of, especially in the early stages. Also, as we are a really small and tight-knit country and an ecosystem, you can get access to highest level government officials. And also, if you're from outside of the EU, the rest of EU markets. And now, since we have 2 startup visa companies that already are in the education sector, I just wanted to showcase another sector, which is blockchain and cybersecurity. And Edilson is from Brazil, and he actually made a matrix comparing other jurisdictions and countries, and then decided that Estonia is the best country for him to come to. I would definitely say please go to our website. We have a blog that is filled with so much information about the ecosystem and how the ecosystem is working together with other sectors as well. And also go to the EdTech focus area. There's a lot of information how you can join it, what kind of startups we have. And if you're interested in joining with some of the events happening in the Estonian startup ecosystem, then we have it online on Facebook. We put all the events in our sector and our ecosystem up there. And I hope you have more questions.
Thank you, Merilin. If anyone has questions for our speakers, please submit them in the comment section in YouTube or Facebook Live, and we'll get to them in the Q&A session. Our final speaker is Mohamed Boya Malanin, founder of EasaChamp. Boya is currently fulfilling his mission of increasing access to quality education through his Estonian-based startup, EasaChamp, that provides sustainable and innovative scholarships for students. Mohamed, how has the crisis affected EasaChamp and your mission?
Oh, that's a big question. Well, I'll say positively in a sense that, as you know, most students are now studying online. But given that we are targeting demographics that tend to be underprivileged, they can't access those online services. Either they don't have the devices, or they don't have internet, or in some cases, they were actually losing also their student jobs. so they can support their living costs or their families. So our scholarships now give more than just the tuition, but also we can give scholarships to sustain your living costs. So this will be quite helpful for students, and we are still also in early stage. Yeah.
All right, we're looking forward to your presentation.
Fantastic. So first of all, I'd like to thank the organizers and yourself, obviously, and the rest of the speakers, but specifically Crystal Moistus for helping me put together this presentation. So yeah, maybe I could give a quick, what I would like to share here is I will be sharing my story, including the good, the bad, and the most beautiful. I will focus a lot on how also Estonia fits into that narrative, and I will omit everything that is irrelevant to our topic. And yeah, please indulge me, and let's see it more as a movie with bits and pieces that all connect together towards the end. And the movie never ends since my journey still continues. So yeah, we are at the genesis. My connection to education started actually quite early. Sadly, I lost my dad when I was 7, and on his last day when I visited him at the hospital, his commandment to me was to take care of my education. Since then, I was always in the top of my class, so at the top that they actually transferred me to the most elite high school in the country. And the goal was to study afterwards at MIT, but sadly, I couldn't even afford the application fees given my family situation. And that was the first time I realized how important finances are for education. Time has passed, and my awakening actually happened 3 years afterwards. I was ironically studying financial engineering, but I had failed to see how the traditional education system was preparing me to the future and the real world. And one day I was actually taking an exam, and suddenly I saw that I was more driven towards brainstorming what the ideal education system should look like rather than answering the questions. And that was the day I knew I had to drop out. And since then, I've been actually actively engaged in education organizations. Fast forward, I ended up even starting my own organization, and I also went back to school studying computer science since I love technology, but also I chose a very innovative school that speaks to my ideals. While there, I started a venture on campus through which I got to learn about Estonia for the first time. And I liked the country instantly and its digital aspect, but I was also more drawn towards its startup positioning. So as you probably heard already, it's the Silicon Valley of Europe, and that was something that was appealing to me. After spending some time, I loved actually the startup community. And that was made me realize that this is the place that I would like to venture in. And also I realized that there was a shortage for tech talent. So I saw that as an opportunity that I could fill. I think Marilyn already mentioned how community is important, and I would even maybe mention that further through my failure with that first startup. So I created a bootcamp, like a coding bootcamp that would be accessible by design and that will provide the quality that is required by tech companies. It was accessible by design in the sense that no one has to pay upfront, so they pay us a percentage of their salary once they are employed. That same innovation was the end of us, because we needed now a large starting capital to be able to sustain the business before any money could be coming in. And like shutting down that business was probably the hardest decision I came to, but also it made me realize again that finances are quite important for education. And the community came together to help me actually realize that decision and make it happen. Because I think, this is my opinion, but the Estonian support systems are one of the most underrated or understated. In the visa program, we have a Slack channel for global for founders that have a global mindset, be it local founders or foreign founders. And someone might think that's just another Slack channel, but in reality, we get to help each other. We get to meet frequently. Probably the biggest value is that you get also honest feedback, so no one is trying to hide something from you, and that feedback helps you fail fast or succeed nicely. It depends on your case. In my case, it helped me realize that there was a struggle and shop has to be closed. And I think I'm forever grateful to have that community around me because they made it easier, even though it was quite a hard decision. So now let's see how actually the dots come together. After obviously some time, I got new energy thanks to the community, and also I had less, so much learned from the experience already. I decided to start a second venture, and it connects the dots in the sense that it ties back my entire background, as it is at the intersection of education, finance, and technology. It also happens that it attracted a lot of support from day one. Since the inception, we have been having a nice push from Startup Estonia. I would like actually to take this moment to give a shout out to Inga Kue, who has been working constantly on connecting us with the opportunities that will help us advance and that we don't miss any one of them. I would also like to recommend you, dear listeners, to consider programs like Prototron, Elevator Startup, Garage 48, because they help you get access to resources, mentorship, funding, depending on your situation. So if you are an education startup, rest assured that you'll be in very good hands. And if you are wondering actually what I do, well, stay tuned for the next episode. Oh, wait, actually, I started with a movie analogy, not a series one. So yeah, let's leave it then to the last slide. I will first share with you some tips on how to integrate with the community. Yes. The most obvious ones is attending events and competitions. You probably have heard that events take so much time, focus on building your product, but if you are a foreign person who's still new to the community, you don't know anyone. And if you want to meet founders or investors, events and competitions are the best way to do it. You'll find mentorship, you'll find funding opportunities, and people will connect you with others. And the second obvious tip is to actually help members of the community, because if you want to get help, people need to see that you are not a selfish person, but that you are contributing to the development of the entire community. Marilyn mentioned that that's the biggest factor, and that's true, because you get selected by that same community. You can't get the visa without it. So they end up selecting the best people who are helpful to each other, and that's something you need to benefit from and you need to keep in the community. And just a little flex, we managed to win Garage 48 Hackathon and also Prototon, that gave us equity-free funding to keep moving and to prototype with our product. So now we get to what's that product. IsaChamp is on a mission of increasing access to quality education. And we achieve this by providing crowd-funded, sustainable, and exponential scholarships. Crowd-funded in the sense that we raise those scholarships by raising donations from the crowd, and sustainable and exponential because we ask the student to pay it forward, so it never stops at them. So every student is actually paying it forward to 2 more students. And we achieve this by asking from them a percentage of their salary. They can stop giving it at any time, and they can even choose not to give it. But the philosophy is that the cycle should not end to them. So one student finance 2 students, 2 students finance 4, and then it keeps on growing, and that's how it's exponential. So every donation given to us ends up having a ripple effect that changes many lives. We also take a small percentage of the donation to keep sustaining the business, but in the future we plan to offer further services so that we don't rely on that cut. We are still in early stage. I can share that so far since we started, we have already around 900,000 euros worth of demand of these scholarships, and we managed already to crowdfund 1 student. He's studying in the United States. The good news is that he's having an internship with Facebook this summer, and given his background, like he's coming from an underprivileged background, that's a life-changing scholarship for him. So yeah, if you are a student considering to study here in Estonia or elsewhere, you can go to reach out to us through care@isachamp.com. We removed the apply button since we have so much demand already. And if you are an investor or a donor, you can contact me through buya@isachamp.com. So yeah, thank you for indulging me, and I'm happy to answer some of your questions. Yeah.
Thank you, Mehmet, so much. We will now move on to the Q&A session. And remember, all of you watching us, you can still submit your question. Now I would like to ask all of you who spoke us here today. And we have a couple of questions, some from the people who have watched us and some from myself. First of all, Mohammed, thank you for your presentation. Is the Slack channel you mentioned still alive?
Yes, very much so. And yeah, it has even it's became even more neat over time. So it's more organized. Um, like yeah, it's even grown because initially when it had started, it was only foreign focused, but we figured that we share a global mindset and we opened up to locals. Yeah, it's thriving very nicely. And you can see even victories happening even while the crisis is happening.
All right. Dagmar, how long does it typically take at the moment to get an e-residency from application?
Like the e-residency card, it actually doesn't take so much longer while the police is handling it and while it's delivered to the embassies or foreign missions. And also due to the moving restriction, we have agreed that otherwise it's the rule is that one must pick up their e-residency card within the 6 months. But now we have make it longer so people can have it longer. But it's still like say approximately 2 month period.
Couple, Claudia from Mexico asks if you have centers there to learn more.
Yes, absolutely. So we are actually looking at developing with our franchisee partners, especially in developing nations like Southeast Asian countries and Latin American countries, and Mexico, Peru, and Brazil are already on the list.
All right. Marilyn, can existing company apply for a startup visa?
Absolutely. Is the short answer.
Very good. So we'll hope the person asking will do it. What's the name of the active Slack channel, Mohammed? Can you just specify that one? One question was coming in.
Yes, it's Global Founders in Estonia. Actually, you can find it through the Facebook groups and just follow Startup Estonia and they will lead you there. Yeah, if you can't find it, it means you are not welcome in the community.
All right.
Just kidding.
Mohammed, one more for you. When will the apply button be back on the ESAChamp website?
Well, good question. The moment we have more funding, so because we are in the early stage, we validated the side of scholarships. Now we are getting the donations, and once we give more donations, we'll be also opening the apply button. But yeah, just for the listeners, they can already reach out to us if they want, through the email I provided.
Marilyn, how has the current crisis affected the startup community in Europe and in Estonia?
I would say that, we would all kind of want to hope that the startups are untouched by the crisis, but sadly it's not the case. The good news is that startups are very agile, they are very adaptable. If you want very detailed information, then on April 17th this year, we, after doing a survey about the COVID and the crisis and its impact to the startups, we have detailed information about how Estonian startups have coped. Obviously, there have been cutbacks. They're working. They're seeing how they can cut back without actually cutting back on the people. Unfortunately, some bigger ones have had to make people redundant. And also, I think fundraising has become a little bit more tricky. However, it's for a startup, you always have to anticipate changes and kind of how you always have to be ready to adapt to everything. So yes, if you want detailed information, I would definitely tell you to go to our startupestonia.ee/blog and go to the 17th of April post.
Kapil, how do you think the COVID epidemic will bring about a change in the education system?
Well, that's the big question that everybody's asking. And I feel that, there will be definitely a shift to blended teaching, to the blended model of teaching. There will be definitely more focus on ICT, and we will see an increase in innovative technologies for personalized learning. So that's where the shift will definitely be.
Dagmar, do you know of any specific countries which are considering or soon launching the e-residency program?
Yes, well, while Estonia is the pioneer and the first one here, there are some that have been tried to make their own e-residency program. For example, we know that Lithuania is about to come up with this, but they are in very early stage. Also, Portugal has announced that it has been alive, and also, for example, Azerbaijan has a kind of e-residency program, which all have looked into our program and tried to pick up the best parts of it. But we can say that Estonia, as a state, has the most number of services online. So the e-residency program can offer most currently in Estonia.
Kapil, you mentioned you're currently active in 7 countries. Are you planning on expanding your reach?
Yes, we are definitely looking at expanding, and we expand through our franchising partners. And so we are looking at developing countries, especially in Southeast Asia, like Vietnam and Indonesia, and also Latin American countries like Peru, Mexico, and Brazil. So these are probably the nations that we'll be expanding next.
And Mohammed, one more question for you. Is there a waiting list for the scholarship? How do you choose which student gets the opportunity first?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. Actually, one of our innovations is in this. So we kind of shifted from the traditional way of selecting people by looking at their academic performance and then the financial need base. We are blending these two, but we focus more on the aspirations of the person, how community centric they are. Will they make an impact afterwards, and how likely are they to maybe drop out? So are they connected to what they are studying? So we've worked with these things, and then you have a grading, like a scoring system, and based on your score you are on top of the list, and so on and so forth. So that's how it's been listed.
Thank you. That's all for today. Thank you for watching us. Thank you, speakers, for sharing thoughts and experience. Our next webinar takes place next Thursday, the 21st of May at the same time. Next week, we will speak about how Estonian students managed to rank the first in PISA financial literacy test. Thank you all for tuning in and watching. For more information on future webinars, follow us on social media at Education Nation. And join our open Facebook group, Remote Learning Education Nation, where you can also suggest topics for further webinars. Thanks for watching. See you soon.